because they need a career, and you kind of need to do it early. But my pain point and the people that I love is 40-year-olds that have reached the pinnacle of their careers and are like, I hate this, but I'm making a lot of money, but I hate this. And I'm like, come talk to me.
So how do you get them to make that, like, that jump, right? Like when they are making a lot of money, they have, families and mortgages and car payments and whatever. How do you overcome or get them to help overcome that fear?
It's the pain point and it's the values. So your value is getting infringed somewhere in life. That's why you're unhappy. So I never tell people to quit their jobs. I would never tell someone to desecrate their stability in life. That's crazy. That, like, I would never. So like I never tell people to quit their jobs. I say, like, one of my clients, she was a mortgage broker. She hated it. So it's like, okay, why do you hate being a mortgage? One of her top quality in life is appreciation for beauty. And her second one was creativity. She wasn't doing any of those because mortgage has like very strict rules and policies within it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, no wonder you're unhappy. So then I
Yeah.
like, instead of changing her job, I was like, can you do 30 days of beauty where you sit down every day and like, where's the beauty in today? So then that shifts your mind to look for beauty. And then if you look for one, another one comes and another one comes and another comes. So that it changes your mindset, right? So that's kind of one of the things that I teach is giving permission to people to change their mindset. So like if you understand your top 4 values in life, it naturally comes. So she's like, well, I want to go to Ireland and I want to do this yogi training. And I'm like, why don't you? She's like, I got no reason not to at this point. So she's going to like ask her boss to have like 2 months off to take this programming. So
Mm-hmm.
she'll learn how to do like proper yoga stuff or whatever. So
Yep.
then she'll have a side hustle, or she'll burn the boat and like become this.
Yep.
But like she's not there yet. Do you know what I mean? So life is a progress, it's a development. So the answer is I don't, but I sure hit your pain point. Like if you want someone to really hurt your feelings, probably me. But I'll tell you, I'll tell you what you want to hear, and I'll think what you want to think, because like my client today wants stability, and I'm like, stability is an illusion. But I'm like, what does stability look like? So if you had to create stability in your life today, what would that look like? And he's like, I don't know. But like there's a value behind stability, right? So, and the funny thing is, he's more successful than he thinks. He has an Airbnb. He's playing in stocks right now. So like obviously these two are going to pay off. He wants more. So he wants the Matt Hewson of being an entrepreneur. I'm like, here, you go talk to Matt, right?
He wants to be a little bit in everything, right? And
Right?
I think the big thing, like even for myself, is like I'm almost mid 40s, and it's like, okay, well, I'm a contractor,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't have any. Well, I get CPP. I think you have to pay into that, or yeah, I don't know, whatever. It comes off on
I'm
my
so
tax,
lost in business, Michelle. I don't know what I'm doing.
right? Um, you know, but I don't have a pension. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't put money into RSPs. And so it's like, okay, well, you think about it. In 20 years, I'm 65. So I don't want to work for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
I have too much other things that I want to do. And so that's where I'm looking at, getting into real estate. And so then, I have renters, pay off my mortgage in the next 20 years. And then that is my income, right? Because I figure, I always remember growing up something about buy real estate or buy land because, there is only so much of it.
Mhm.
And so that's where we are right now is we're, looking at, the real estate stuff. But the thing is that again, it's all an unknown, and there's not a lot of information on the internet. And so I think that's another, barrier that people have a hard time overcoming, is that depending on what they want to get into, is whether or not they can find the information, because it takes time out of your day to go talk to, the bank. And is the person at the bank going to actually listen to you? I've reached out to mortgage brokers. They don't answer me, or they don't do commercial stuff, or they don't know. And then it's like I know how to buy a house. I can buy a house, no problem, but I have no idea how to buy a commercial property, right?
Mhm.
Because there's just so many different things involved. And so again, I think that might come back to, the people, that are in, like you said, over 40, where it's, what do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah.
Where do you start? Is it
Everyone,
reputable? Are they scammers? Like that's, like you see so much crap that, how do you weed through to get the good one, right?
a good integrity goes a long way. Everyone's like who, what, where, when, why. What is the most, out of all those questions, which one is the most important? Who. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's always been that way for 100 years.
It has,
So,
yeah.
like, that's exactly, I'm just gonna, like, your question, I'm gonna give you another question back. Who? You know what I mean? Find the right person that is the power player. And it's important to understand you're a titan in your field. You're a titan in Michelle Martin. There's other titans in the field. Like, I'm a titan in the field. I've only been doing this for 6 years. I will firmly say I believe in myself. I believe in my business. I believe in my purpose. I'm a titan in career development. So you do have to find the titan in the field, the golden ticket. Become friends with it. They will give
And
you
pretty
the knowledge.
much, right? Yeah. Yeah. And I know there are a few that, are in syndicate who, are involved in real estate, and it actually, it blows my mind. You mentioned Matt and Ben, and there was one other, where they don't just have one. Like, they're like, oh, well, I have this and this and this and this. And oh, well, this person is like, what?
Oh, Daniel and Scott both
you know?
have 2. They have like 7 within the 2 of them. They're a dream team.
Right? So it's just, it is. It's about who you know. And, it's sad to say, because a lot of people are like, well, it's, nepotism or whatever, but I don't know if it is.
But it's the quiet ones you have to watch out for, because the quiet ones make a lot of money, and the quiet ones are like smart enough they don't need to be showy, right? So in syndicate, there's 3 types of people. I forget what they are. The first type is hungry. They need to get paid or they're in trouble. Do you know what I mean? So I don't fall into that category. I pay like into the third. So or the second is growing and developing. So that's who I am. I think I'd stick you in 2 as well, right? And then the 3 are the quiet ones that have their shit together, that like are quietly manifesting their hopes, dreams, and desires. Like, I would stick Matt Hewson, Matt McLean in there, Greg in there, Ben, I would stick in there. Do you know what I mean? The quiet ones are the ones that make the money, honey. They don't need to be showy.
Well, even Scott and Danielle. I think they have, I don't even know, someone mentioned, I'm like, yeah, they do.
They're super quiet too. Danielle barely says words in there.
Yes.
Like, they're busy being productive in life.
I don't know if I'll ever fall into the quiet category.
Me neither, man. Me neither. The funny thing is, though, I met Ali in December. He doesn't remember. So, like, I can be super professional and I can be super scrubby. I have 2, like, I'm the wolf, and you know what I mean? Yeah. So I can go into a room and be absolutely quiet and no one would know who I am. But like, syndicate is so fun and I love networking. I'm there every time. But like, there's times where I'm super quiet and everyone's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm just letting the universe do what it needs to do today. So everyone thinks there's something wrong with me. I'm innately an introvert and everyone thinks I'm an extrovert, which is fine. But I'm just like, so nope.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. So you just said something. You said you like networking.
Love it.
No.
Michelle, I purposely had to have that mantra this year because I fucking hate networking. I know
I've had to read books on how to network successfully, because I'm like you, where I'm quite happy to sit in the corner and just be myself or talk to one person, and I'm very comfortable doing that. I am not good at working a room. I am horrible at working. Even if I know everybody in the room, I am horrible at working a room. And so I've had to read books on how to network. I can go up to somebody and be like, oh, hi, how are you? What do you do? What are your interests? Blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to stop the conversation. I get stuck there. And I always get stuck with the one person that nobody else wants to talk to.
Michelle, always come to me. I will rescue you, but you have to walk. So like,
and it's like, anybody else coming over here? Oh my God, I don't know what else to talk about. This person is following me.
Like, I'm a dick on purpose, but I get the numbers. I can chat with everyone in that room. But like I knew to have a successful business, you market, you network the shit out of life, right? So
Yeah.
this year I was like building a mindset that's highly successful. And my other one is I love networking. I love meeting new people. But then I thought about it and I was like, holy fuck, I do like networking and I do like talking to people. Like, because me and you don't chat that much, right? But I'm like,
No.
I freaking love you, Michelle. I don't know you that well, but like you got stories and I want to hear them. Like I want to know how to properly market your company. So like I'll be like, gosh darn it, there's this Michelle, she believes in herself. Like I'm really picky actually. The more I get into business, if you don't know your mission, vision, and purpose in your company, you don't know your company and you're not intimate with your company. Sounds like you know your mission, vision, and whatever in your company.
Myself, I would
Mhm.
like to say that I do for the overall company, because we're all contractors, we're all over the place. But for myself, I definitely do. And again, that comes back to having a business coach, right? That
Yeah,
comes
right.
back to working with Mitch last year. And he's like,
Mhm.
well, what do you want? Well, I want this. Well, why? Well, I
Mhm.
don't know, because I do. Well, no, that's not enough.
Right. And so like Mitch is like, Laurette, what do you want? I'm like, 10 clients, $10,000. And he's like, that's what you think you want. What do you actually want? And I'm like, I want a tenacious network that loves me viciously and will be like, use her services. She's amazing. And like, I'm slowly playing that role, but like, that's a play. Like, there's a reason why I'm like, legendary, slay dragons all the time, because there's a story of career development and it's real fun. So, like, I network the way that I network because I believe in the crazy. I believe in the story, like, and I believe in the story of everyone. But like, it's a slow play, man.
Well, and going back to the story, like when we were talking before about how, you end up where you are because of your story.
Yes.
You don't just land as, a CEO. You don't just land as a bus driver. You don't just land as an insurance broker.
Mm-hmm.
What happened that you got there?
Mm-hmm.
What proceeded to get you to that spot, right?
Yeah.
You take J.K. Rowling, for example. I've read that like she was like on the verge of homelessness or something and wrote a book,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like how crazy is that? And it's so, I watched oh, what the heck was it called? It was like the longest race or something like that, and it was held in New Zealand. And it's about how these elite athletes go and they do a crazy amount of miles for this race, and they have X amount of days to do it. And Canada actually came in second. But they didn't focus on that team because that team was just they just had your normal, everyday, man, we're going to do this. They didn't have any challenges to overcome. And so out of the hundreds of teams that they had, they focused on, I think it was like 24 or something like that. And like some of these, like their stories, like I'm watching these people stand up paddleboard or swim through freezing cold water, and I'm crying
I know.
because of the story that they're telling. Like there was the one that really stuck with me was it was a group of 4 women, and they had always competed, and one of them passed away from cancer. And so they wanted to compete again because it had been about 20 years, 15, 20 years since this race had happened. And they wanted to compete again. And her husband stepped in her place so that these 3 women could honor his wife.
Stop, Michelle.
Right? So that's only one of them. So then there's another one. And this one just got me because my biggest fear is getting Alzheimer's. I'm not scared of getting cancer. My biggest fear is losing my mind.
Agreed.
I don't want to lose my mind, and I don't want to forget my kids. That's my all-time ball fest.
That's the death of life right there, is Alzheimer's.
Right? And so there was, again, a team that had been together for years, and this time his son stepped in. And so it was him and his dad, and there were 2 others. And his dad, you could tell, was struggling with trying to remember, but he knew, he could remember how to ride a bike. He could remember how to do whatever. He needed help to do up his buttons. He needed help to, do certain things and, okay, Dad, go here and whatever. But you know what? They finished that race. They weren't first, they weren't second, but they finished it. And it was just, or did they not? I don't remember if they had to back out at a certain point, but whatever. And it was just
You
knowing
finish the
that,
race by stepping into the race. I
right,
don't care if you fail or not.
right. And oh, I'm sorry, if you ever watch this, I'll find the name of it for you.
You're gonna
But
make me
you know,
cry, Michelle. I can't watch that.
but seriously, like it was so crazy because like some of the stuff that they had to do, it was like, oh my God, like they go through the jungle at night.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have flashlights or nothing. They had whatever they were carrying on their back. So if they had a
Interested in it.
flashlight, kudos to them. One group got lost and they backtracked. And it's so unfortunate that they got lost because they showed where they were like here and they needed to go here, but they didn't know they were there and they went all the way back. They ended up losing. Like they ended up where they ended up because you have to meet certain cutoffs. And they ended up being told that they couldn't continue because they'd be too far behind.
Yeah.
And that same team was where that guy, you know, he ended up with heat stroke because they were paddling so hard to get across the ocean to this island to where this jungle was. They actually tied a rope around him and they pulled him like a donkey so that he could just one step forward, just one step. Don't worry, we'll keep you. And yeah, so he was, you know, 2-3 feet behind his teammates and they just pulled him along so they could keep going. Like just the camaraderie of working together and crying together and being honest about what you're struggling with is just, you know, it was amazing. I watched I don't even know, it was 10 episodes or I'm not even sure, but yeah, so you're laughing, you're crying, you're cheering, you're
the cry is a heal. So everyone's like so scared to cry. Crying heals you, period. Like
yeah.
We need to give ourselves permission to cry often. And I'm like, but it's so uncomfortable and gross. But like, and I wanted to say the power of the name. Like when I got given the name entrepreneur, my mind was blown. And I was like, I don't get it. I don't believe in myself. And so like the inner demons this year, oh, they came out to play. But I was like, I'm busy loving myself. Like on Sundays or Saturdays, I have to set a whole day of self-care just to be like, Laurette, you believe in yourself. Laurette, you can do this. Laurette, how can you other like help people because you are healthy, wealthy, and abundant? So like, yes, Michelle, yes.
I consider myself an entrepreneur.
You are.
I guess I am. Like if you just think about it, but it's not like you know, people are like, well, what do you do? Oh, I'm an insurance broker. Oh, I don't want to talk to you.
You know what the definition of an entrepreneur is? The simple definition of an entrepreneur?
What's that?
Hold on. I'm going to copy and paste this.
Okay.
Because you are an entrepreneur, and I'm surprised you don't call yourself one.
No, right? Like to me, and this is just my own thinking, whereas to me, an entrepreneur is someone who has a business, right? They work for themselves, which I guess essentially I do. But and that's my, you know, my
that's the beginning of the sentence. A person who organizes and operates a business, taking on greater than normal financial risk in order to do so. That's you, Michelle. Congratulations. But like,
you know, yeah. And I guess, and again, it's mindset, and you know, and too, like, you know, you talk about your elevator speech, right? What's your 30-second elevator speech? And it's like, because you tell people you're an insurance broker, they're like, oh yeah.
See, I always start with a question. So, because your elevator pitch, they don't care about you. No. They don't like you. You're building trust. Yeah. My 30-second elevator pitch is about building trust. So I actually ask a question. What does career development mean to you? And then I get them to tell me what it means to them. Then I speak their language. And then oh, well, I'm an employment specialist. This is what I specialize in. This is where I've done it before. So I've worked with 3 nonprofits. I'm willing to win with you. Like I want a win-win-win relationship. What does that look like for you? So like the elevator pitch is never about you. It's always about the other person. And that's the mistake most people in Syndicate make.
Right? And so I was like, and so I don't use it very often, and maybe I should more, but it's essentially, I'm like, and so what I have written down is I'm like, oh, well, I save, you know, families and businesses money.
Yeah, that's the pain point.
And they're like, well, by doing what?
Let me
will I
tell you.
review their insurance, or I blah blah blah, and whatever, right? But I find when I'm networking, I'm more direct. It's like, oh well, I'm an insurance broker. I do home, auto, business, commercial, whatever. And they're like, oh, so yeah.
Well, and clarity is key, right? Sometimes you just gotta, this is what I do. This is boring. Like, there's boring parts of what I do. Matter of fact, most of life is super boring. Matter of fact, if you're super high intelligence, super high successful, the 1% of people that are kabillionaires, they're actually really boring people with high routine. So, like, routine is not a terrible thing to have. Boredom is not a terrible thing to have. Successful people do things every day to be successful, and it's kind of boring.
What do you
No one
mean?
tells you.
I want to be a free spirit and do whatever I want whenever I want. What are you talking about?
No one tells you career development is boring. No one tells you career development is hard.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it.